Okay, guys, so out here in the shop, and I wanted to try something a little different than I normally do. I've been tournament fishing, professional fishing for, close to 20 years now. I've been fishing my whole life. And a lot of times, us as professional anglers, we take things for granted, right? That everybody knows and should know what we know. Well, obviously, with a lot of youth coming into the sport, a lot of people taking their kids fishing, there's a lot of, I think, unanswered questions. And so I'm going to do this little series and pretty much talk about 5 baits or / techniques that you could go to a river, a pond, a lake, kind of anywhere, and have the right setups and the right equipment to potentially catch your first bass, or answer some of those questions that like I said in the beginning, we take for granted that everybody knows what we know regarding rigging and all the different setups. So first of all, before I get into the first bait, I feel like it's appropriate to talk about fishing line, right? There's all kinds of different fishing line on the market. And so I'm going to go through your 3 basic bass fishing lines. So to start off with, I grew up fishing, 35, 40 years ago. And all we had at that time was nylon or monofilament line, much like we have here. So this is Sunline. It's super natural. And first of all, the characteristics of it, right? This line will float. So it doesn't sink in the water. And that's going to allow you to fish a wide variety of topwater baits like poppers, almost anything. But the other really cool characteristic of it is real abrasive resistant, meaning if you're throwing a spinner bait or a shallow run square bill, shallow run crankbait, and you get it around some rocks or trees or docks or what have you, it's going to have more less breaking strength than some of these other lines like a fluorocarbon, which I'll talk about here in a second. But you can see right here the amount of stretch. Okay, so this is really, really stretching quite a bit. So what that allows is, like I mentioned, those topwater baits, things like that. That's what your nylon or your monofilament line is used for. Now, fluorocarbon line, okay? There's a wide variety, everything from essentially 2 or 3 pound test up to 30, 35 pound test. On an average, I would say if you're getting into fluorocarbon, that's going to really, really help your fishing regarding a lot of techniques that we're going to talk about. Sunline makes it's called super fluorocarbon. So it's a real good introductory price point. You can find that on Tackle Warehouse, and then it goes up from there, right? I use a lot of FC Sniper by Sunline, and essentially, I don't know if you can remember, but that Supernatural, it had some stretch. That right there is not stretching hardly at all. So, when I'm throwing a Texas rig worm or bottom contact baits, a vibrating jig, things like that where I don't want a lot of stretch, fluorocarbon is going to be the way to go. It's really, really, how do I explain it? It helps you detect bites a lot more because the stretch in your monofilament is going to take away from some of that feeling in your rod that transmits through your line, right? So fluorocarbon is an excellent way to go. If you're starting out, that's what you kind of need to get into. I would recommend for a variety of techniques, anywhere from 12 to 16 pound line is going to cover you for almost all these techniques we're going to talk about and baits. Anyway, the last kind of group of line is braided fishing line, right? Okay, so this is 50 pound. This is AMZ by Sunline. They make several others you can find on Tackle Warehouse, all kinds of different price points. But essentially what it is, it's a braided fishing line. So it's not as invisible as your fluorocarbon. Obviously, it's a braided line, and it has zero stretch. So when you're fishing around heavy cover, around grass, through grass, real thick, gnarly stuff, that's going to be what you want to throw, whether you're flipping, which we'll talk about, or throwing everybody's favorite, artificial frogs, a buzz bait, things of that nature. That's where you're going to want your braided fishing line. I recommend anywhere for starting out, a 30 to 50 pound range is going to be really, really applicable for many, many different techniques. So hopefully that answers a few questions. If not, DM me right there, and hopefully I can explain it better if I didn't do a good enough job. But stay tuned. What we're going to talk about is one of the basic bass fishing setups, a Texas rig worm. That gets bites everywhere we go. So stay tuned, and we'll go into that in depth.